Hello. If this is the first time that you have seen me and come into my world, welcome, welcome. My name's Chloe Cousins, and I would like to share a couple of aspects of this full moon coming up, which is well, it's pretty intense, let's put it that way. But before I go into the full moon and the energies that are coming through for this full moon, I kind of want to go back in time. And I feel that a lot of what we're experiencing right now is, well, actually coming back from March. March is when we had a massive, massive shift on this planet that meant that we were really fully coming into new Earth. So I'm just going to clip this in here. There we go, that should be better. And then we've literally had timelines starting to speed up. We've had a continuation of the collapse of the old, while simultaneously a birthing of the new. And that can be a really, really challenging space to hold for ourselves, because we are simultaneously the person, the one being birthed, but at the same time we are the birther. So what that means is, and for anyone who has given birth, whether it's to a baby or to a project or to something creative, is a huge space that has to be held within yourself to allow yourself to go through what you need to go through to be able to come out of the other end. And the way I describe this inside my Earth Star Temple membership is, and I go into a lot of detail around this, is like a decoding, recoding, and then realignment process. So whenever something new is coming through, whenever you're birthing something that is like a new aspect of you, it's a new life you're trying to bring through, or maybe it's a new creative project, or an upgrade, or maybe you're bringing through a baby, right? Whatever is going through, there's always a decoding that has to happen within you to create like an energetic space. And that decoding is very much around decoding around the way you think, around the way you feel. You could be decoding like a lot of like karmic wounding, core wounding, in fact, past life stuff that's going on, that's like a programming that you've had that needs to be clear, like another layer that needs to be cleared to give that space, to create that space for you, so that you can then pull in the new energy. And from that alignment, then you get into alignment with that, and from that alignment, take the action. And that's kind of one of the core premises to the work that we do inside the Earth Star Temple. And to me, it's one of the core premises to any manifestation process. Now, the moon is and the cycles of the moon is such a beautiful, divine, feminine energy that is so supportive in those cycles, because everything goes round in cycles. And the full moon, what the full moon does is it illuminates. So it illuminates and reveals. Now, specifically with this full moon in Aries, there's a lot around the I am. Like, there's this kind of unraveling around understanding who you truly are. So a big piece to this full moon, I feel, is around self-worth. So what I do inside my temple membership is a week or so before, I divine up, I tune in, and I get really clear on what's coming through for the collective. And when I look at the astrology, and when I look with what came through for us all, and also what came through in the cards, including the tarot cards, it really is all around self-worth. So it lines all beautifully up. And this is what I feel this full moon is going to support us all to do. It's going to highlight, it's going to reveal, it's going to show us some aspects and areas of our life where we're not fully in our power, right? And the thing with the full moon is that this is going deep into your subconscious, right? We're not really talking about at a conscious level. So it digs deep. It's like the iceberg. It's the underneath. So it's pulling up the underneath stuff that you can't see, that you're not aware of, and bringing it up to the surface. Now, I'm sure many of us feel that at certain levels, at certain aspects, we don't feel good enough, or, we don't feel deserving, or we don't know where our value lies. But when it comes to this full moon, what it's supporting you to do is to get more specific within that, and the different, where those perceptions that you have of yourself are coming up to be seen, so that you can just refine that. You can clear it out of your system and take that next step. So I'm seeing it very much as a refinement process for each one of us within that. Now, I certainly have, and let me know if this has been the same for you guys, but the equinox has been particularly intense. Now, I've personally witnessed in my life, literally all around me, things really just going absolutely crazy. I've never seen so much chaos play out in a close proximity to me as it has done in the last 2 weeks leading up to this equinox. So I'd be really interested to know whether you've been noticing, anything around that as well. Just pop that down there. So, hang on. Okay. Sorry, just right. Hi, Angela, if you're there. Hello. So we've got some people online, which is great. So let me just give you a couple of recommendations that I have for you. Hi, Angela. Could you just go into Facebook, please, Angela, and sort out some of those troll comments for me? Thank you. Okay, so where are we? So over the equinox, yes, hello, lots of intense emotions for me. Yeah, absolutely. There has been a huge amount of emotions coming up, and I still feel there's like an aftermath of that. And the full moon is very much, it just brings up, it's so linked to our emotional body, and so it can bring up a lot of emotions within all of that. Absolutely. So the equinox kind of supports us to come to an absolute state of balance, and in that absolute state of balance we receive downloads, but we can only receive those downloads through getting to that point of absolute balance energetically within ourselves. Now, and it's always going to be a new state of balance. It's not like you're trying to find an old state of balance. It's a new state of balance. And right now there is so much light coming down onto the planet, so much coming through, that there's always that counterbalance. So what we find we're having to do is, as we pull in more light within ourselves, at the same time we're having to deal with the negativity that can come up within us, or the negativity that is triggered and from external situations that are going on. And literally we have to hold ourselves as much as we possibly can within that. I always recommend, one of the most amazing sacred sites I find for creating absolute balance on so many levels is Angkor Wat in Cambodia. I was there, I think it was 2019, and I facilitated one of my Crystal Merkaba grid journeys from there. And it's an amazing, the actual Angkor Wat temple itself, there's a point, it's not a very big point, it's like one slab that you literally stand on, and when you stand on that slab, it's incredible, the energy, the centeredness that comes through. I have never witnessed anything as strong as that. I think the nearest I got from that was whenever I go to Chartres, right in the middle of the labyrinth there in the cathedral. And so within getting that balance, if you can manage to get that balance when all that chaos is playing out around you, you then are able to pull in more light. And that is a blessing of the equinox to do that. Now, over that time, on Monday actually, I facilitated a Crystal Merkaba grid journey to Cyprus. And that was all around the Venus codes. And a big aspect of Venus is all around value, all around the heart, all around self-worth. And I feel, I know we have some temple members here, I feel if you're a temple member, that listening to that would be really supportive right now in supporting you to activate aspects around self-worth, value, how you value self, and relationships, value within relationships, and all of that interplay within that. So I do have a couple of recommendations. The first thing I say, that the full moon is on Friday, so it'd be great, I always saying, doing a bit of moon bathing if you can get out, even if you can't see the moon, the energy is still there, and just literally bathing in the moonlight is a beautiful way to absorb those lunar codes and really infuse that light within you. Another way you could do that is to create a little ceremony of sorts. You could light a little a fire, an outdoor fire, or just using a candle. You could write down what it is you're wishing to release and let go, because the full moon illuminates those aspects so that you can release and let go. Because unless you are aware of what it is you're decoding, unless you can get in contact and have awareness around it, you can't shift it. And that is the power of the full moon, because it illuminates, it reveals for you. Now, interestingly, when I picked the tarot cards as well, there was it was all around a revealing. It was all about going to emotional depths. It was all about almost like there may be a bit of conflict. There might be battles within yourself, or there might be battles within others. And again, that's kind of very much that Aries, because this full moon's in Aries. That's very much that Aries energy as well. So just be mindful of that. And get in touch with what it is you like to shift within yourself, with what's revealing itself, what it is you'd like to shift, and particularly be aware of any ways that your feelings around your value, your self-worth, whether you feel good enough, how that can be kind of revealing itself. And then maybe you would like to, you could write it on a piece of paper, burn it in the fire, burn it in a candle, to release it and let go. You may want to do a bit of saging. I love saging, using resins. What I do every month is I facilitate a full moon, a sacred circle of fire over the full moon, and I work shamanically with that particular procedure. And what I do is I call everybody in to that sacred circle of fire, and I work with specific elements, specific crystals, specific beings, and call them in shamanically into the circle to really clear. And what I work with is your astral layer. Now, your astral layer is kind of the hardest aspect to get hold of because it's the subconscious. So working shamanically in this way is really, really powerful. And so it's a huge, huge purification on the astral layer. My Earth Star Temple members absolutely love it. It's a godsend for all of us because throughout the month there's always stuff that comes up, and it often can get kind of stuck in the astral plane. And so it's like a massive, massive detox, a massive, massive purification, and it just feels so good afterwards. I facilitate this at 10 o'clock UK time, but it's not live. So there's nothing going on live, but I call you in to the circle that I create, and then I do a transmission afterwards, just talking about the energies that have come through for the group, for the collective as a whole, and then I channel through an actual activation as well to support the whole of that clearing process, because it's such a deep activation. I've been doing this for many years. I love it, and I know my Earth Star Temple members love it as well because it's just so powerful within that. Some of the recommendations I've had, now this is just for my Earth Star Temple members, I just want to give you some of the recommendations leading up. So these are the recommendations inside our Activation Sanctuary, which is part of the membership. So the first one I suggest is reclaiming your self-worth activation, because that's going to really support you to connect in and own, have that ownership around different aspects around self-worth, whatever it is you're working on or whatever is becoming revealed to you over the next few days as we come into this full moon. Now, Chiron is highly activated in the astrology, and I also pulled the Chiron card. So I know without a doubt Chiron is going to play a big part in the energies that are coming through for this full moon. What does that mean for us? Well, first thing to say is that we are Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries is all around the I am, is all around empowerment and self-worth. So again, you can see how that layers in. So we are globally in Chiron in Aries, but each one of us has a unique and individual Chiron. If you know what that is, your Chiron will give you will tell you what your core wounding is, where it is you always get stuck when you're in that decoding process, and also it will highlight what are the special gifts and talents that are coming through for you as well. So I feel it's really so essential to know what your Chiron is. I have a workshop on Chiron, how to find out what your Chiron is, but you can just do that online anyway. But actually what's way more valuable is actually understanding what your Chiron means to you relative to your spiritual growth, and the gifts and talents that come through as you master your wounding. To say you'll never clear your chiron, it's not about clearing your chiron, it's about mastering it. And so that's really big. So that is that chiron point is really being activated as well. So it is our blind spot. It's our blind spot, but it's also the point where we get the most power from. And the reason for that is that as you go in and really release what you need to release, that is when the healing really comes in. That like the true transformation, that is when it really happens, is when you go into that core wounding and come out the other side. But you can only create that deep transformation through going into the wounding. And of course, for most people, they're blinded to what that core wounding is because they don't want to go there. And of course, we don't want to go there because it's our core wounding, it's what triggers us the most. So it tends to be where we put the most protection around that, right? But it is highly activated right now. So for my temple members, I would suggest maybe revisiting that workshop. Funny enough, for literally for the last couple of weeks, that's all I've been talking about is Chiron to the members, but it just keeps on coming up. It just keeps on coming up in the divination and in the astrology actually as well. So we're just going with the flow on that. It's where we get our biggest growth. It's where we get our biggest growth, right? So that is so, so important to really understand that, really be able to go into those feelings and be able to come out the other side. I also suggest the third eye activation as well. So, and the reason for that, in the divination, third eye did come up quite a bit. So I feel for some of us, our third eye is opening up a whole nother level again. And the third eye does quite a few different there's quite a few different aspects to the third eye. That not everyone understands about that, the technology behind that. I love looking into all the spiritual technology. It's something that I really love. It's something that I share a lot about within my Crystal Merkaba grid journeys as well, just because it absolutely fascinates me, and it's just the way that my brain works. But the third eye is opening. Now, one of the aspects of the third eye opening is that it enables more light literally to come in through into your physical body and consciousness, which means that you're able, through that process, to shift your consciousness. At the end of the day, your reality is created through your consciousness. At the end of the day, when it comes to the absolute core thing, it's all around your third eye consciousness and the shifts of consciousness. So that real deep transformations happens when you go through your chiron, your core wounding, and you come out the other side. You can then shift your consciousness through that, anchor and embody it, and that is when you've made that transference shift. That is when there's a whole new you, a whole new aspect of yourself is being birthed, is being upgraded. And I know so many of you, and myself included, over the last couple of months, there's been so many shifts that have gone on within myself, and that gets reflected out. Often it gets reflected out in my family life, and it absolutely gets reflected out in my business, in the way of my service work, and the way I get out there more in the world, the impact that I have. That is all an accumulation of the shifts that I go through within that. So you could kind of see it like wisdom codes in that. So yes, third eye activation. I do believe that would be a really good activation to listen to and to work within all of that. And the Crystal Merkaba grid journey I do want to recommend would be the Venus star codes from Paphos, Cyprus, just because again, Venus is activated within this whole astrology right now. She's in her shadow phase. So we've had a very long retrograde. She's gone through a whole rebirth, and she's in her shadow phase, just about to and she will come out and come fully into her power again. But when she's retrograde, when she's in her shadow phase, it enables us to go into aspects that she rules. So she rules aspects around self-worth, around your value, around beauty, around abundance, around love, and all its different aspects to love, because love is a huge topic. And so in that Crystal Merkaba grid journey, I really talked about the different aspects of Venus and the goddess Aphrodite. And I really spoke about this whole activation that I had around this very, very specific grid point in Old Pathos Port, the harbour there, and how it connects into the higher heart, connects them in different grid points around the UK, and how going forwards, this aspect of the higher heart, this aspect of Venus and connecting into your value, and how it's so important that your alignment to your value, to your self-worth, and therefore to your essence, that alignment is so important in terms of how it then becomes reflected out into the world. And so the grid, the actual Crystal Merkaba grid, and the specific stones and the layout within them are templated to support that activation. And what I feel has happened over the last week or so is that specific grid point has opened up in a whole new way, and that it's an anchor point for Venetian technology, and I think probably one of the prime anchor points onto the planet of Venetian frequencies. That over the last couple of weeks, there's been a massive shift in what's been available to come through that specific portal, and it's been much more of what we call Aphrodite Urania. So anyway, I go into so much detail in all of that inside the Venus Codes Crystal Merkaba grid journey, if you feel drawn to listening to that and diving into that, and a really profound activation as well to support that activation within you. Then once you've done the activation, then it's the embodiment and the integration. But by connecting into that grid point, and it's a very specific grid point within Pathos, it's activating that within you deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay then, my lovelies, it probably went on longer than I actually wanted to, but thank you so much. I feel so honoured that you've shown up. I'm just having a look at everybody. Hello. I can't read everyone's because you're not always. I think I've got Jennifer. Hello, Nicole, Leah. Hello, Annette. Hello, Geraldine. Hello. Hi, Amber. Hello. It's so lovely to have you live. I don't think I've done a live for quite a while. I am aiming to do a lot more lives. I'm just feeling drawn to work more in this way again. So for those of you who are in the membership, I look forward to calling you all in to the Sacred Circle of Fire on Friday. I will put the recommendations all down so you've got them all written down there as well. If you feel drawn or want to know a little bit more about the Other Side Temple membership, just send me a DM or write in the comments below. I'll send you a link. Enjoy this full moon. Do some little, just do a little ceremony or just something, just to really honour it and anchor it in more within you. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.